Hi beautifuls, welcome back. We are here to dive into 2021 and the astrology and all your must knows. Now, if you haven't sub. If you do want to follow me and you feel this content relates to you individually, please write in the comment section how it does. I love to hear your feedback. Now, we're moving away from a very interesting 2020 and into a very unique 2021 that for a lot of us collectively hasn't happened on this planet before. And we are entering the air signs. We had both Saturn and Jupiter moving into Aquarius. So it is very much that Aquarian age themes coming through. So we're going to tune into this week up until the 8th. What will be coming up for you, what the planets are doing, and how they're going to affect you. Now this month we do have Uranus and Taurus going stationary direct on the 1st. We also have Mars transiting out of Aries and into Taurus, and that's occurring on the 7th. Venus is also transiting into Capricorn on the 8th, and we also, towards the end of the month, will have a Mercury Retrograde. We also this year have 3 squaring aspects Saturn is making, which are quite major aspects of this year's astrology. The dates that that's occurring is going to be February the 17th, June the 14th, and December the 24th. Now we'll get deep into your astrology and tell you how this week up until the 8th is going to affect your zodiac sign. Okay, Cancer, welcome back. Now let's have a look at your chart. Now from the 1st till the 8th are the dates that we're covering here, and then next week there will be another video that will be launched prior to those dates so that you can have transit by transit coverage each week, what's coming up for you individually. I may actually make reference to last year's astrology as well as moving forward to help you understand what's coming up with this week's astrology. Now, we did just move away from the full moon in Cancer, and that was at the end of the month in December. So for you, that was your first house placement, and it would have been a very personal thing, something that you had to let go of inside yourself, maybe even your emotions, trying to release your emotions and your feelings relating to potentially even the way you were seeing yourself or the way the world was seeing you. Because first house placement can be a very personal house, but deep emotions may have been running raw. Also with the fatigue, as we do move into the first week of January 2021, we do have Uranus and Taurus going stationary direct. So with our nervous systems, and because you are a water sign, you may find that these energies are amplified. So try and do guided meditation. Take time for yourself if you're feeling frizzled. And again, with both the emotions and the moon energy, your intuition at this time may be heightened. Now, in previous years, we did have the nodes both in Cancer and Capricorn. Now, with those themes, because we did just have the full moon in Cancer, and this week we do have a lot of Capricorn placements, it can feel like you're reliving some of those things, but you're going to be more able to actually deal with some of these transits due to the experience of those previous years. Now, we are going to be having Mars transit away from Aries and into other zodiac signs this year. So the pressure point will be coming off your 10th house placement. And although we do have Aries and Chiron there for 7 years, you will find that the pressure points linking to anything you're working on and your career sector can be amplified this week. Even though we would theoretically, for some of us, be looking at this could be a holiday time, for some of you, it may not be. And I'll also give you updates relating to where you are in your life, be it you're working or you're not, and how to actually amplify this energy with the astrology to get the best out of situations. Most of this week, you will still feel the resonance of the full moon in Cancer. Again, sort of transforming things, letting things go from the past. Maybe not taking it as personal, trying to prove yourself to individuals. But something inside of that first house will be directly being reflected upon, released, and transformed. On the first day of the month, we do have the moon, however, transiting through Leo. So your emotions may be coming up very much connected to your second house placement. Second house placement connects to your professional resources, your self-esteem, And again, looking at it, it can be almost like a psychological evaluation of your personal life and how you stand with that. But it also can be from where you gain your income from, how you're doing that, reflecting upon it. Potentially, I really do see from your chart, many of you can be super tired at this point, and it does make sense with last year's transits. So let's have a look at second house placement. It can be your possessions, your land, your material value, your ability to follow through, your resources, your self-confidence, self-esteem, alliances, net worth. So all of those areas really, from the first to the second, can be a thought process as well as an emotional point. Now that can be both yin and yang, because Uranus in Taurus going stationary direct, when it does move, you do tend to find either 3 days before, 3 days after, or directly on that day, it's almost like the box of chocolates theme. Uranus's transits really bring about surprises and sudden changes in these areas. So with that, it does connect in with your 11th house. So emotions relating to, again, the bigger picture, your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, your friendship groups. The bigger picture of these things and going the distance. It can even be growth. Tuning into those things can be subjects, as well as your finances relating to some of those areas. You know, what you're really wanting to create from here moving forward. We did also have both Saturn and Jupiter moving into Aquarius, and this will be a very large theme. We really do have until about mid-year to amplify in that domain, so it can be sudden success in these domains while both Saturn and Jupiter are working together. Mid-year we will have Jupiter transiting into Pisces, which can give you a different box of chocolates, so to speak. So for the first 2 days of the month, we are, as I mentioned, having the moon transiting Leo. This, again, is second house placement, as I mentioned previously. So it will be your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings. You may have hunch energy connected to this coming up, and it may be a subject matter that you're tuning into at that time. We're also having Mercury in Capricorn sextiling Neptune and Pisces, which is both a correlation between your 7th house and your 9th house placement. So looking at your relationships, your marriages, contracts, partnerships, and some of those hopes and dreams coming through, and looking at the bigger picture of going the distance, your spiritual belief systems, your value systems, maybe even taking connection to the next level or wanting connections moving to the next level, especially with Aquarius entering your 8th house. Now, it's going to be a combination of two things. For those of you that are single, you're going to find that you're going to be more connecting in with like-minded individuals that have goals to work with you. It will also be in those areas of the 7th house. You will be working to build upon those areas, and that can be shared resources, your finance, your hopes, dreams, and goals, both inside the 11th house placement, which this year is set to transform deeply with the transits of Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn in Aquarius. When can we expect these things? Well, the first point is the very first day of the month, and that's because Uranus and Taurus goes stationary direct. It is also squaring aspects occurring between Saturn and Uranus and Taurus are occurring on the 17th of February, June the 14th, and December the 24th. So keep those key dates, and I will mention them during the year, but those dates will link to deep transformations. And yes, like a box of chocolates, it can occur at a drop of a hat. So it's things that we can look at and we can develop, especially from a financial point of view, and especially with your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, because you've got the axis between the 8th house and the 11th house with Taurus. So looking at those two areas, your friendship groups can be changing, your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, the people in your circle can be changing, as well as the investment in those areas. Now, between the 3rd and the 4th, we're having the moon transit Virgo. This connects into your 3rd house. And you may be really... Virgo is a very unique zodiac sign that is fantastic for analytics, health, devil in the detail. Now, in an emotional place, especially for Cancer, this can be a very unique way of looking at things. Now, this can be you really keep wanting conversational pieces, your thought process is what you're saying versus what you're doing. It can even be with other people, but emotions linking to that and really wanting the balance. Some sense of communication can be coming in, where you're really psychoanalyzing it. And I do feel potentially this could be a necessity to decipher between what's being said and what's being done. Now, interestingly enough, very much linked to the third house is Gemini, and it's the North Node, and you have that in your 12th house. So both as above as below, you will be thinking about things, maybe wanting to culminate some of those ideas that you have. And really pay attention to your thoughts at that time, because a lot of your thoughts, your spirituality, your belief systems, your communication, I do feel a lot of you are thinking before you speak. However, it can be this development of your communication style that can be coming through, and it's being amplified by the moon in Virgo. Now, this could be a turning point due to the fact on the 4th we have Mercury and Capricorn in conjunction to Pluto in Capricorn. Now, Mercury is, again, third house, but it's all about your thought processes, the way you think, the way you speak, your moves, your day-to-day activities, short journeys, psychology as well, you know, how you're getting these things done, self-management. Linking to your 7th house, it can be all your marriages, contracts, partnerships. There can be something that you're trying to tie up. If you're unhappy in a situation, something can come to light. It can also be conversations with individuals in these domains, which is quite unique because the day previous and on the 4th, you do have the moon transiting Virgo, which is the communication house. So there may be emotions coming up relating to information coming towards you. I do feel in this instance you're going to be very rational. I think the Virgo energy can really be benefiting you. Moon energy transits are always highlighted for your chart because you're governed by the moon. But I do feel in this instance, because you do have Virgo in the 3rd house, you're going to be self-mastering those thought processes. You just have to be cautious of not micromanaging those thought processes. Allow it to come up what's necessary. You may feel like you're spreading yourself like butter. So conjunction points can be bringing something up because it's in Pluto, the accountability to end things, get things done. You will have the ability to achieve those things, but it's also the responsibility entailing both your thoughts, your words, and communication. It can be trying to close a cycle out or information coming to you that is going to require a response potentially. Similar situations are occurring between the 4th to the 6th when we do have Mercury in Capricorn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So the same themes, tying things up, tying loose ends up. We're really guided to, in the last 2 weeks of December, moving into January 2021, getting everything done. This can be paperwork, it can be documentations, it can be clearing our house, getting our routines in order, especially with the health domain, because you did have the eclipse in Sagittarius. You will see huge changes linking to this area, and healthy boundaries are very, very important when it does come to both your connections, your friendship groups, and your marriages, contracts, partnerships. Also making time for your health over the next 6 to 12 months due to the fact that we have Sagittarius in your South Node. But for many of you, this can be that you have been working extremely hard and it has been due to circumstances that you've had to, that potentially this fatigue energy is coming through at the beginning of the year due to the things you had been working on in previous years. Between the 5th and the 6th, we do have the moon transiting Libra, and this can be a requirement for balance on the home front. Your thoughts relating to these things and anything home related, especially linking to a contract or a partnership, having to deal with those subjects. Now, this can be your psychological foundation. It's beneficial that it is in Libra at this time, that you will be looking at this in a very balanced way. But I do feel for many of you, your thoughts and your emotions will be wanting to recoup at home, wanting to get grounded, spending quality time in quiet mode, but also getting things in order. With the 4th house, if you are dealing with anything relating to home and contracts, make sure you get those things organised well and truly by the middle of January, and that's due to the fact we're going to be having Mercury going retrograde, and you'll feel those shadow effects, and that can really delay it till the very end of February for you. So anything pertaining to signing contracts for work, documentation, taxation, paperwork, try and do that in the first 2 weeks and the last 2 weeks of December 2020 into 2021. That way, you're going to be on the best footings you possibly can be to get the best out of these transits. If you're wanting to apply for jobs and you're unemployed, a good time is the last 2 weeks of December, moving into the 2 weeks of January 2021. Now, Mars has been sitting in your work placement, so your work domain, your career domain, your 10th house placement. You may have had wounds linking to this area, as I mentioned previously. Aries is the placement of Aries in Chiron is going to be there for 7 years, but Mars is now this year transiting different zodiac signs, which will give you time to actually take the pressure off your career field. Yes, with Aries and Chiron, these subjects can come up, but it's definitely taking the pressure off. So you can see some sense of growth in that department, but there can be tension points leading up in the first week of January 2021 due to the fact that the Mars energy is amplifying in degree points, and it can come to a critical point. So if you are currently working in the first week of January, pace yourself, try to keep your cool, because there can be agitation linking to that, or it can be very fast paced, point blank zero, that you're really tying loose ends up, getting a lot done, feeling like you've jumped into 2021 and off you go. So it depends on how it lands for you individually in your own circumstances. But as we move past the 6th, you will feel some sense of pressure coming off that domain, and it will be shifting into Taurus, which is your 11th house placement. Now, 11th house placement is you'll be putting a lot of energy into this domain, and that's pretty much until March the 3rd, 2021, where it will move into Gemini, which is the house of your psychology, your thoughts, your processes, your meditation, alchemizing some of those things. Putting thoughts into actions really is the theme I'm seeing coming up for that department, and maybe even talking about these things. So initially, with it being in Taurus, between January the 7th through to March the 3rd, you will find that your hopes, dreams, aspirations, very similar to both Saturn and Jupiter being in Aquarius, it's the humanitarian energy coming through. So it will balance out that 8th house placement for you. So if you are wanting to network, pertaining to your romantic partnerships, you can see that you will be building upon those areas, and it can be a lot of movement, hopes, dreams, planning, looking at the bigger picture, bringing things together. If you're single, this is much the same, and you will be attracting these circumstances into your life. It will almost be a benchmark for your life. Those of you relating to employment, depending on the industry you're working in, I do coaching in that domain. If you do want to book a reading, I can interpret the chart for you and teach you ways you can actually utilize the astrology to get the best out of each week by week transit. From a marketing point of view, 11th house and with the 9th house with Neptune and Pisces, this can be developing this art of the 8th house where you're learning, implementing, dealing with analytics, potentially with Gemini in the 12th house. With those houses, what you can find is the way in which you're going to navigate your employment domain. Some of you may be self-employed. Some of you may be turning your business ventures into alchemy. So depending on how it lands, feel free to drop a comment and I can respond back. This is going to pertain to with Mars being in Taurus, you will find highlighted energy and a lot of energy going into that domain, as well as both where Saturn and Jupiter are and where the nodes are. So they're the areas you really need to pay close attention to, especially with Uranus and Taurus this year. So yes, we do have Mars transiting out of Aries and into Taurus. Pretty much by about the 6th, you'll start feeling that energy. The other point we do need to mention is Neptune and Pisces is squaring the nodes. So with you feeling you can move, you can kind of achieve some of these things, there can be some sense again of tapping into your psychology, trying to get balanced, looking at things from a balanced perspective. There can be frustrations relating to that. Something that's really frustrating you, deep fatigue, maybe needing some personal time. Just pace yourself through this first week. As we do have, probably by about mid-month, you will feel better. But then we'll have the time to reflect with Mercury Retrograde. And it kind of makes sense, really. I mean, if we were a rational manager and we could co-create our own astrology after what we experienced in 2021, I think we all really need that reflection and getting grounded, after what all of us have experienced. And this is a very unique way to be able to do this within the transits. Now, the 9th house can relate to siblings, education, spirituality, long distance, the bigger picture, plus your thoughts. Are you feeling sort of that something's not balanced? Or this could be a 3D circumstance coming up. The frustration of feeling like a rat in a cage due to what's going on in the collective. And my ears just started ringing, so that potentially can be true. Some of you will have a lot of movement by mid-year. That's due to the fact that we're going to be having Jupiter entering Pisces. In old astrology, we did link Pisces to Neptune as well as Jupiter. So it will be a comfortable place for it to be. But what you can find is, from a psychological point of view, we may have already gone through a little bit of the dark night of the soul energy previous to this transit. So for some of us, we may already be embodying this energy. For others of us, we can be looking at holistic ways to deal with things, health-related dynamics, unique ways to cope with our belief systems, as well as anchoring our energy in, but health-related dynamics. And stress levels, looking at different ways we can do that, how we can balance the yin and yang. And I do really feel between both Saturn and Jupiter being in Aquarius, it's teaching us how to do the yin and yang of that. Sagittarius also is very yin and yang. So it's a perfect education platform with the astrology at the moment to help us balance those two areas. We learned a lot about the Capricorn transit, and that was the responsibilities inside of those domains. Now it's with the growth, we're putting our money where our mouth is to make those things grow that we feel are relevant to us, but keeping the balance within those domains. Now, between the 7th and the 8th, we have the moon transiting Scorpio, and this connects into your 5th house. This can be your luxuries, your pastimes, your creative endeavors, children, romance, and luck. So you may be feeling, and again, emotionally, it's moon energy, so it's intuitive, but it's also emotional. You may be very private in relation to how you're feeling to do with subjects at this time. Very natural. You also could be keeping your cards close to your chest in relation to what you want to do in these domains. Tap into that, sit with that energy, see what comes up for you personally. This could be yin and yang again. There could be circumstances from the previous 2 days that have brought this situation forward with communication, things coming to a head and needing to tie up situations relating to marriages, contracts, partnerships, and potentially even children with both Sagittarius and Scorpio in your 5th house. So whatever that is, I do feel you're really sitting with that and thinking on it. It could be a little bit of fester energy. As we move to the 8th, those themes can still be there, but we have Venus entering Capricorn, so it's back focusing on your relationship sector, really assessing the responsibilities. So I do feel you're weighing the scales at this point, but you're wanting something deep. You don't want to dig deep. When I say you don't want to dig deep, you don't want to dig yourself 6 feet under. You want to have a very growth orientated energy. So you could be maybe even discussing or looking at responsibilities inside of these things, but you may find that you're able to take responsibilities and take the bull by the horns. We also have Mercury entering Aquarius. So by this point, both your thoughts and your speech will be on building. For some of you, this could be signing contracts. This could be jumping in the deep end in a subject matter where there is deeper commitment. But I do really feel on those 2 days there potentially could be some decisions to be made and information coming relating to these areas. Because it's Mercury, it can be thoughts and conversations of intimacy, finances, shared resources, hopes and dreams and aspirations, and building upon them, what you both have together. What you're wanting to attract into your life. This can be from your employment, from your marriages, contracts, partnerships, your life point blank zero and where you're building upon, from the foundation up. This can also be subjects to do with taxation, inheritances, deaths, legacies, very almost Pluto energy, but it is beneficial in Aquarius. So because we have both Jupiter and Saturn there, you could feel this push-pull. And the reason I'll say that is because Saturn's requiring you to follow a certain code of conduct, you know, bringing things in, leveling up, and it can be burdens and responsibilities. And that could be linking to finances, shared resources, you know, spreading yourself like butter. But it can also be very growth orientated, and I do feel this push-pull energy with that, especially being in Mercury, but you'll have the time to think and speak and react. Now, the Sun being in Capricorn on this day, and the Sun is pretty much in Capricorn this month until later in the month when I'll talk about that next week. But with it, you will find you'll be showing up in the world and taking a lot of accountability. You may have a lot of responsibilities, but you'll have the energy to put it into that. Now, with Mercury in Aquarius, your thoughts, again, on this day will be connecting in with your resources, sharing, give and take, communicating such. It is squaring Mars in Taurus. So with that, there can be, with the 11th house placement, your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, and what you have versus what is. Again, because it's Mercury, it can be egoic, it can be thought, it can be trying to do those things, maybe having the money but not being able to use it on your hopes, dreams and aspirations. You know, maybe being cautious, but there's some sense of restriction there, some sense of you're not quite there yet, and you're really guided to in the first week. There can be benefits because we're going to have both Saturn and Jupiter still making conjunction points. However, we do have Mars squaring Jupiter, so with that it's tying up those loose ends, paying bills, getting on track. But you can have wins coming through at a financial level, especially with the 8th house. You'll also find that your net worth value is going to be increasing. Now, with Mercury and Aquarius squaring Mars and Taurus, this can be a lot of thoughts and maybe, you know, looking at which way to go. Okay, what do we do? Where do we generate this from? How do we deal with this? I do feel it's thoughts over actions. And again, it could be due to circumstances, but, you know, finances really in the first few weeks and especially midway through the year in 2021 can be beneficial, providing we're putting our energy into circumstances. But there could be attention relating to this. There could be information coming in relating to money. And even though there's, you know, some of the things you're wanting to do, there could be a bill or something that needs tying up or a situation that plays out. But as we move further, we do still on the same day have Venus and Capricorn trining Mars and Taurus. So you will continue to generate luck surrounding these areas with your marriages, contracts, partnerships, with your hopes, dreams and aspirations and your value systems. But you'll know where you belong. You really will. You'll know what to push your energy into. But this can be thinking and talking and problem solving to a degree. Maybe not having a solution right away, feeling sort of like I mentioned before, a dare walking out of the woods, but knowing we have to react, but also knowing with all the Capricorn energy what those responsibilities are, and especially with both Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius, it's the social responsibilities relating to these things. It's a bit like signing on the dotted line and then, you know, not really reading the fine print. I really don't see January 2021 or 2021 point blank zero being like that unless we run away with that Jupiter energy. Saturn's really going to assist us to pull back and reflect upon that. Okay, Cancer, let's have a look at your must-knows for the first week. And I may mention some of the situations that you can pay attention to moving through 2021. Now, let's get into the Leo energy. So the moon transiting Leo can be both third eye, which can be headaches, fatigue, tension, thoughts, strength, viewpoints, as well as, intuition. Again, with the moon, it will be crown chakra. So guided meditation in the first 2 days relating to your thought processes and any tension. Nervous system energy can come up because Uranus and Taurus relates to nervous energy, nerves, frequencies relating to that. So guided meditation to anchor yourself in. If you do feel very tense, out of sort, it can feel like a soul walk-in. Base chakra also. Now that's due to the fact that we have a lot of Capricorn areas playing out, both in Mercury, which will be throat chakra for you individually. So third eye, throat chakra, base chakra. Now the reason I'm saying base chakra is because the Capricorn energy is there, and for you at that foundational level, you can balance the base chakra, guided meditation, red food groups. Also, because you've got 6th house placement with Sagittarius there, be cautious of your diet and your intake, especially with stress levels, pacifiers and things to that degree. Emotions and psychology can be coming up in the first week. And it doesn't have to be something terrible. It can just be your thought processes, coming to terms with things, understanding things, comprehending. You're very intuitive by nature as a fellow or feminine Cancerian. Now, the hotspot points are the last 2 weeks of December moving into the first 2 weeks of January. More so probably due to the fact that Uranus and Taurus is going stationary direct, shall be up until about the 14th, and there can be sudden changes in the first 2 weeks, and even moving into January 2021. You'll also find with Mars transiting into Taurus, there can be tension points in your career. Anything you're working on, feeling fatigued, get your base chakra in alignment, and especially when it does come to the power source energy, depending on where the pain body experiences are coming from, heart chakra especially, due to the fact it's Venus energy this month. Plus your marriages, contracts, partnerships are coming up. You've got 8th house placement, which can be emotions relating to endings and new beginnings. So pay attention to your emotions during this time. Take time to evaluate. Also, just to make a decision based on what you feel is correct for you. And I do feel you guys have quite a bit on your shoulders, but you do have beautiful aspects this year. Please trust the process. If you do want a personal booking, you can go to the link below. I will be here week by week to guide you, and we'll also do moon energies. Now, later in the weeks, we will have a moon energy transiting Capricorn. So this is the 2-week pocket to get those things completed, tying those loose ends up. You will have that new beginning after that moon phase during this month. Okay, beautiful Cancers, I shall see you on the other side of this week. Please tell me how this directly relates to you. If you have issues during the week, touch base with me in this information box below. I will get back to you ASAP. Again, if you're new to this channel, a very warm welcome. If you do feel this content's relevant and you do want more of this, please sub, and I will see you during the month during my lives. We have Twin Flame Path. I'll have romance readings coming up in 2021 again. Guided psychic downloads, chakras, astrology, Schumann resonance updates, and a lot more to come. So love to have you join us. For those of you that have been following me over the last 4 years, welcome back, guys. I hope you have a very happy new year. I am launching these prior, and please have a safe transit. I will see you during the week.